The shuttle docked with a soft hiss, stood up from her seat and grabbed her small bag. She was finally here. Orbital Station Telos floated in the cold darkness between two star systems. It was a trading post, a meeting place, and home to over 3,000 beings from dozens of different worlds. Was not tall. She stood at 160 centimeters. Her black hair was tied back in a simple ponytail. Her face was round and soft. She wore the uniform of an Earth Engineering Corps. On her chest was a small patch showing the blue and green of her home planet. The airlock opened. Cool air rushed past her face. It smelled strange. Not bad, just different, like metal and something sweet she could not name. She stepped onto the station. The main corridor was wide and tall. The ceiling rose far above her head. This made sense. Many species were much larger than humans. The walls were made of dark metal with glowing blue lines running through them. Beings of all shapes and sizes moved past her. Some walked on 2 legs, some walked on 4, some floated, some crawled. Nobody looked at her twice. Like that. She did not want attention. She just wanted to do her job. Earth had sent her here to help fix the station's water recycling system. It was old technology, but humans were good with old technology. They had learned to fix things instead of throwing them away. Other species found this skill useful. She walked toward the station's administrative center. Her boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. Around her, conversations happened in languages she did not understand. Her translator earpiece buzzed and clicked, trying to keep up. A group of tall beings walked past her. They had skin and 4 arms. Their eyes were small and black. They looked down at her and made sounds that might have been laughter. Her translator picked up fragments. "Is so small. Is that a child? Humans look like toys." Kept walking. She had expected this. The reports back on Earth had warned her. Humans were new to the galactic community. They had only made first contact 40 years ago. Most species did not know much about them. They saw small bodies and soft skin. They saw beings who came from a world with liquid water and breathable air. They thought humans were weak. They did not understand. The administrative center was a large round room with many desks. Different species sat behind these desks, helping new arrivals, found the line for engineering personnel and waited. The being in front of her was huge. It looked like a bear standing on 2 legs, covered in dark brown fur. It was at least 2.5 meters tall. Its shoulders were as wide as 3 humans standing together. When it spoke, its voice was deep like thunder. Waited patiently. She was used to being the smallest person in the room. Finally, it was her turn. She stepped up to the desk. The being behind it recognized the species from her training, were tall and thin, with pale blue skin and long faces. They had 2 arms and 2 legs like humans, but their joints bent in different directions. This one wore a uniform with many badges. They looked at a screen, then looked at. It blinked its large yellow eyes. "You are the human engineer?" it asked. "Yes," said. "My name is. I am here to work on the water systems." They made a sound. It might have been surprise. "We expected someone larger." "I am the one they sent," said simply. The typed something on its screen. "Very well. Your quarters are in Section 7. Your work assignment begins tomorrow morning. Do you have any questions?" "Where can I find food?" They gave her directions to a cafeteria that served meals safe for human biology. Thanked it and left. The walk to Section 7 took 20 minutes. The station was large and was in no hurry. She watched the beings around her. She listened to the sounds of the station. Machines hummed. Voices rose and fell. Somewhere music played. Section 7 was a residential area. The corridors were narrower here and the ceilings were lower. This section was designed for smaller species, felt more comfortable already. Her room was simple. A bed, a desk, a small bathroom, a window that looked out at the stars. She put her bag on the bed and sat down. Through the window, she could see Earth's sun. It was very far away, just a bright point among millions of others. But she knew which one it was. She always knew. Her first night on the station passed quietly. She ate a simple meal of rice and vegetables from her own supplies. The cafeteria could wait until tomorrow. Tonight, she wanted familiar tastes. She slept well despite the strange sounds of the station around her. The next morning woke early. She washed her face, tied her hair back, and put on her uniform. She ate a small breakfast. Then she went to find her new workplace. The water recycling center was in the lower levels of the station. The corridors here were dirty and poorly lit. This was where the important but unglamorous work happened. Felt at home immediately. The chief engineer was a being called. It belonged to a species did not recognize. It had 4 legs, 2 arms, and a head shaped like a triangle. Its skin was the color of rust. Looked at her credentials on a data pad. Then it looked at her. Then it looked at the data pad again. "You fixed the Meridian Station cooling crisis?" it asked. "Yes," said. That system was considered unfixable. "I found a way." Made a sound that her translator could not interpret. "Interesting. Very well, human. Show me what you can do." That first week worked hard. She crawled through narrow pipes that no other engineer could fit inside. She found problems that had been missed for years. She fixed things that others had given up on. Word began to spread. The small human was good at her job. But not everyone was pleased. Commander watched from the shadows of the observation deck. He was tall and proud. His family had served on this station for 6 generations. He did not like changes. He did not like newcomers. And he especially did not like humans. They were weak. They were small. They came from a soft world of water and air. They had no right to be here among the strong species of the galaxy. He watched walk through the corridor below, her small figure moving with quiet confidence. Soon, he thought, soon he would remind her of her place. The stars turned slowly outside the station windows, cold and uncaring, as they always had been. 3 weeks passed on orbital station Telos, settled into her work like water settling into a glass. She learned the rhythms of the station. She learned which corridors were busy and which were quiet. She learned the names of her and the sounds the machines made when they were happy or sick. Her reputation grew, the small human who could fix anything. Engineers from other sections started coming to her with questions. Even, who rarely praised anyone, said she was useful. Did not let the praise change her. She woke early each morning. She did her exercises in her small room, push-ups, sit-ups, stretches. On Earth, she had trained every day since she was young. Her body might look soft, but beneath her skin was muscle built over 28 years of life on a heavy world. Earth's gravity was strong, stronger than most planets where intelligent life developed. Every step on Earth was like carrying extra weight. Every breath was work. Humans did not think about it because they knew nothing else, but their bodies were built for that constant struggle. On the station, with its lighter artificial gravity, felt like she could fly. She did not tell anyone this. She did not need to. Commander watched her. He had been watching for weeks. He saw her smiling at other crew members. He saw her solving problems that his own engineers could not solve. He saw others starting to respect her. This made him angry. Came from a proud family. His grandfather had helped build this station. His father had commanded its security forces for 30 years. Himself had worked his way up from a simple guard to a commander. He had earned his place through strength and will. Humans had not earned anything. They had stumbled into the galactic community by accident. They had no history among the stars. They were children playing in an adult world. And yet here was this small female, being praised for fixing pipes. It was wrong. It was an insult to everything believed. He decided it was time to teach her a lesson. The cargo bay on level 12 was always quiet in the evening hours. Shipments arrived in the morning and left in the afternoon. By night, the large room was empty except for stacked containers and the hum of cooling units. Went there after her shift. She liked to walk through the quiet parts of the station. It helped her think. Also, she had noticed a strange sound coming from one of the ventilation systems. She wanted to investigate. She was kneeling beside a vent, listening carefully when the door opened. Commander walked in. He was alone. His tall figure cast a long shadow under the dim lights. His blue skin looked in the darkness. "Human," he said. Stood up slowly. She turned to face him. "Commander, can I help you?" He walked closer. His footsteps echoed in the empty bay. "I have been watching you, little human. You think you are special, do you not?" "I think I am an engineer," said calmly. "I fix things, that is my job." "Your job," made a sound of disgust. "You should not be here at all. Humans do not belong among the stars. You are weak. You are fragile. You break too easily." Said nothing. She watched him come closer. Her heart beat a little faster, but her face showed nothing. "On my world," continued, "we have a saying, the strong rule, the weak serve. That is the natural way of things, but your species does not understand this. You come here with your smiles and your clever hands and you think you are equal to us." He stopped in front of her. He was almost a full meter taller. He looked down at her like she was an insect. "You are not equal to us," he said. "You are nothing." "I am just here to do my job," said. Her voice was steady. "I do not want trouble." Laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "Trouble? What trouble could you possibly cause? Look at you. I could break you with one hand." He reached out. His long fingers closed around the collar of her uniform. He lifted. His feet left the ground. She hung in the air, held by her collar, eye level with for the first time. Her uniform pulled tight against her throat. But she did not kick. She did not struggle. She just looked at him with those calm, dark eyes. "Say it," said. "Say that humans do not belong here. Admit that you are weak. Admit that your species is nothing but a mistake of evolution." Other crew members had started to notice that was gone. Some whispered. Some pretended not to notice. On this station, Commander did what he wanted. Nobody challenged him. Nobody questioned him. He had done this before, to other new arrivals who showed too much confidence. He taught them their place. They always learned quickly. The human would be no different. "Say it," repeated. He shook her slightly. "Say it and I will let you go. You can go back to your pipes and your pumps. You can stay here and do your little job, but you will remember this moment. You will remember who is strong and who is weak." His hands hung at her sides. She was perfectly still. When she spoke, her voice was soft. "Commander," she said, "I want to ask you something." Was surprised. Most beings cried or begged at this point. This human was asking questions. "What?" he snapped. "Do you know what gravity is like on Earth?" The question was so strange that did not know how to answer. "What does that matter?" "Earth has strong gravity," said. Her voice was still calm, like she was discussing the weather. "Much stronger than here on the station. Much stronger than your." So humans grow up heavy. Our bones become dense. Our muscles become tight. We do not look strong because we do not need to look strong, but we are built to carry weight that would crush you. For the first time, something flickered across his face. Not quite worry, not yet, but something. "You are bluffing," he said, "trying to scare me with stories." "I am not trying to scare you," said. "I am giving you a chance. Put me down, walk away. Pretend this never happened. That is the wise choice." His grip tightened. His pride would not let him back down. Not to a human, not to this tiny female hanging in his grasp. "You dare threaten me?" His voice rose. "You dare." "It is not a threat," said. "It is information. What you do with it is your choice." Stared at her. His yellow eyes were wide with anger. No one had ever spoken to him like this. No one had ever been so calm in his grip. He should have listened. He should have put her down and walked away. But he did not. "I will show you," he growled, "what happens to creatures who forget their place." He pulled his arm back, preparing to throw her against the cargo containers. That was his mistake. His legs moved, fast, too fast for the track. They wrapped around his arm like snakes. Her hands grabbed his wrist. She twisted her body. The movement was small, simple, beautiful in its efficiency, and absolutely devastating. Felt something he had never felt before in his life. Pain. Real pain. The kind of pain that starts in one place and spreads everywhere, that blinds the eyes and stops the thoughts. He did not understand what was happening. One moment he was in control. The next moment he was falling, and there was a sound like dry branches breaking, and that sound was coming from his own body. His feet touched the floor. Did not get up. The cargo bay was silent except for the hum of machines and the ragged breathing of a commander who had just learned something important. Something about gravity. Something about assumptions. Something about humans. The sound of breaking bone echoed through the cargo bay. It was a wet, snapping sound that made the walls seem to shiver. Commander lay on the metal floor. His arm was bent in a way that arms should not bend. His jaw hung loose, crooked, wrong. Blood the color of dark purple dripped from his mouth. His yellow eyes were wide open, staring at the ceiling, seeing nothing. Stood over him. She was breathing a little harder than normal. That was all. Her uniform was wrinkled where he had grabbed her collar, but otherwise she looked the same as she had before. She looked down at him for a long moment. Then she bent and straightened her collar, fixed her hair, adjusted her badge. "I did warn you," she said quietly. Tried to speak. He tried to say something, anything, but his jaw would not move properly. Only a wet, gurgling sound came out. Pain was everywhere. It filled his body like water filling a ship. He was drowning in it. He did not understand what had happened. One moment he had been holding her in the air. He was in control. He was teaching her a lesson. The next moment everything changed. Her legs had wrapped around his arm. He remembered that. They were so fast. He had not even seen them move. Just suddenly they were there, locked around his elbow and shoulder like metal bands. Then she twisted. It was such a small movement. A turn of her hips, a pull of her hands. That was all. But the force behind it was something impossible, something that should not exist in such a small body. His arm had bent backward. The joint made sounds it was never meant to make. He felt things tear inside him, muscles, tendons, things with names he did not know. He had tried to scream. That was when her elbow hit his jaw. Again it looked like nothing, a short, quick motion. Her arm barely seemed to move, but the impact was like being hit by a machine. His teeth cracked, his jaw shattered. He tasted blood and broken pieces of himself. Then he was falling. The floor came up to meet him, and he did not have the strength to catch himself. Now he lay here, staring up at the dim lights, listening to his own ragged breathing. The small human stood over him. She looked down with those dark eyes. There was no anger in them, no satisfaction, no cruelty, just a kind of calm sadness. "You did not listen," she said. "I gave you a chance. You did not take it." His mind was foggy with pain, but through that fog one thought kept repeating. How was this possible? His species was known for their strength. He had trained in combat since childhood. He had fought enemies across 3 star systems. He had never lost a fight. Never. And this human, this small, soft-looking female had destroyed him in seconds. His thoughts went back to what she had said, about gravity, about Earth. He had heard things about the human, everyone had. It was a strange place, mostly water, thin atmosphere, strong magnetic field, and yes, strong gravity, but he had never really understood what that meant. Gravity was just a number, a measurement. It did not seem important. Now, lying on the cold floor with his arm broken and his jaw shattered, he understood. Humans were not weak. They were the opposite of weak. They came from a world that tried to crush them every moment of every day. They did not develop the large muscles of heavy gravity species because they did not need to. Their strength was hidden, packed tight, waiting. Had tried to tell him, she had given him information. He had called it a bluff. He was wrong. The door to the cargo bay opened. Turned, 3 crew members stood in the doorway. They were different species, different shapes, different sizes, but their expressions were all the same: shock, confusion, fear. "What happened?" one of them asked. It was a female with green scales and large round eyes. Looked at them calmly. "Commander fell, he is injured, you should call medical." The crew members looked on the floor. They looked at his broken arm, his shattered jaw, the blood spreading beneath his head. Then they looked at the small human standing over him, completely unharmed. They were not stupid. They understood what had happened here. One of them started. "He fell," repeated. Her voice was firm. "Please call medical, he needs help." There was a long moment of silence. The crew members exchanged looks. Then one of them activated a communicator and called for a medical team. Stepped back from his body. She walked toward the door. The crew members moved aside to let her pass. They did not want to touch her. They did not want to be near her. "Wait," the green-scaled female said. "Security will want to talk to you about what happened." Stopped, she turned her head slightly. "I will be in my quarters. They can find me there." She walked out of the cargo bay. Her footsteps were soft and even. She did not hurry. She did not run. Behind her, the medical team arrived. They found Commander still lying on the floor. He was still conscious, but just barely. His eyes were glassy. His breathing was shallow. The doctors worked quickly. They stabilized his arm. They gave him something for the pain. They lifted him onto a floating stretcher. One of the doctors examined his jaw. She made a small sound of surprise. "Multiple fractures," she said to her colleague. "The bone is completely shattered. I count at least 7 breaks." "How is that possible?" her colleague asked. "What hit him?" The doctor looked around the cargo bay. There was nothing here that could cause such damage. No machines, no heavy equipment, just containers and empty space. And 3 crew members with strange looks on their faces. "What happened?" the doctor asked them. The crew members looked at each other. "He fell," one of them said finally. The doctor frowned. "This is not a fall injury. This is impact trauma. Something hit him with enormous force." "He fell," the crew member repeated. "That is all we know." The doctors exchanged glances but said nothing more. They took away to the medical center. The cargo bay was quiet again. The 3 crew members stood in the dim light. They did not speak for a long time. Finally, the green-scaled female broke the silence. "Did you see what she did?" she whispered. "Did you see how fast she moved?" "I saw nothing," one of the others said, "a tall being with fur. I do not want to see anything. I do not want to know anything." "But she is a human," the 3rd crew member said. "It was a small creature with many legs. I have heard stories from others who have worked with humans. They say we should not make them angry." "Stories," the 3rd one said. "Everyone has stories." "Commander thought they were just stories too," the small creature replied. "Look what happened to him." They all looked at the spot on the floor where had fallen. The blood was still there, purple and wet under the lights. "What do we tell security?" the green-scaled female asked. "We tell them he fell," the 3rd one said firmly. "We saw nothing else. We know nothing else. That is the safest answer." "Safest for who?" "For everyone." The 3rd one looked toward the door where had gone, "including us, especially us." The small creature made a sound of agreement. "I do not want that human looking at me the way she looked at. Did you see her eyes? They were so calm, so quiet, like she was doing nothing more important than fixing a pipe." They all thought about that, the calm in those dark eyes, the steady voice, the small hands that had done so much damage. "I will not speak of this," the furred one said. "Neither will I," the small creature said. The green-scaled female hesitated, then she nodded. "Neither will I." They left the cargo bay together. They walked in different directions. They did not look at each other. And none of them ever spoke about what they had seen. Some truths are too dangerous to share. The medical center on Orbital Station Telos was bright and clean. White walls, white floors, machines that hummed and beeped, the smell of chemicals that killed germs. Commander lay in a bed in a private room. His arm was wrapped in a healing cast. His jaw was held together by metal pins and wire. Tubes ran from his face to machines that fed him liquid food. He could not eat. He could not speak. He could only lie there and think about what had happened. The doctors said he would recover, eventually. His arm would take 6 weeks to heal. His jaw would take 3 months, maybe longer. The damage was extensive. 7 fractures in the jaw alone, torn muscles and ligaments in the arm, nerve damage that might be permanent. All from a few seconds with a human female who weighed less than half of what he weighed. Stared at the ceiling. His yellow eyes were empty. Something had broken inside him that the doctors could not fix. His pride, his certainty, his understanding of how the universe worked. The strong ruled, the weak served. That was what he had always believed. That was what his father had taught him. That was what generations had known to be true. But the human had shown him something different, something terrifying. Sometimes the strong did not look strong. Sometimes power hid behind soft faces and small hands. Sometimes the universe lied about who was dangerous and who was safe. He had grabbed her collar. He had lifted her off the ground. He had felt so powerful in that moment, so in control. And she had looked at him with those calm eyes and given him a chance to stop. He had not taken it. Security chief visited him the next morning. Was a species with 4 eyes and skin like tree bark. He was old and experienced. He had served on the station for many years. He had seen many strange things. But he had never seen anything quite like this. "Commander," said, sitting beside the bed, "I need to understand what happened." Looked at him. He could not speak, so he typed his answers on a data pad. "What do you want to know?" "The witnesses say you fell, but your injuries are not consistent with a fall. Something hit you, something with tremendous force." His 4 eyes studied carefully. "I need you to tell me what really happened." His fingers hesitated over the pad. He thought about the human, about her dark eyes, about her quiet voice when she had warned him. He thought about what she could do if she decided he was a threat. "I fell." Sighed, "Commander, I am trying to help you. If someone attacked you, I need to know. There must be consequences." "I fell, that is all." The human female. "She was in the cargo bay when you were found. Did she see what happened?" His hands trembled slightly. He typed slowly. "She saw nothing. SHE was working on a ventilation problem. I fell before she could help me." Was quiet for a long moment. His 4 eyes never left his face. "You are lying," said finally. "I know you are lying, but I cannot force you to tell the truth." He stood up. "If you change your mind, you know how to find me." He walked to the door, then he stopped. "I spoke with the human earlier," he said. "She told me the same story, that you fell, that she saw nothing." Turned his head slightly. "But I have been doing this job for 30 years, Commander. I know what fear looks like. And I saw something in her eyes that was not fear. It was something else, something like pity." He left. Lay alone in the white room. Machines beeped around him. The tubes fed him liquid that tasted like nothing. Pity. The human had him. That thought hurt more than his broken bones. Across the station went back to work. She fixed pipes. She repaired pumps. She crawled through narrow spaces and solved problems that others could not solve. No one mentioned what had happened in the cargo bay, but everyone knew. Stories traveled fast on a station like this. By the second day, there was not a being on Telos who had not heard some version of the tale. The small human who had broken the commander. The Earthborn female who had shattered his jaw with one strike. The engineer who ate dinner alone, then went back to work as if nothing had happened. People looked at her differently now. They stepped aside when she walked through corridors. They answered her questions quickly and politely. They did not stare. They did not laugh. They did not whisper about how small she looked. Notice the change. She did not like it, but she understood it. On Earth, she had trained in martial arts since she was 8 years old. Her mother had insisted. "The world is not always kind," her mother had said. "You must be able to protect yourself." She had learned. She had practiced. She had become strong in the quiet way that humans became strong, not with large muscles and loud voices, but with density and efficiency, every movement precise, every technique perfected. She had hoped she would never need to use those skills here. But some people did not give you choices. Some people saw small and assumed weak. Some people needed to learn the hard way. Called her into his office on the third day. The chief engineer looked at her with his triangle-shaped head tilted to one side. His rust-colored skin was darker than usual, a sign of stress, maybe. "I have heard rumors," said, "about you and Commander." He fell, said. "Yes, so I have been told," made a sound that might have been a laugh. He fell, broke his arm, shattered his jaw, fell very hard, it seems. Said nothing. "I do not care what really happened," continued. "Was a problem. He caused trouble for many of my engineers over the years. He was cruel. He was proud. He thought his family name made him untouchable." Small eyes fixed on. "Perhaps he has learned that no one is untouchable." "Perhaps," agreed. "I want you to know something," said. "You are a good engineer, the best I have seen in many years. I do not want to lose you because of politics or whispers, so I will say this once. Whatever happened in that cargo bay, I did not see it. I do not know about it, and as far as I am concerned, it never happened." "Thank you," said. "Thank me by continuing to fix things that others cannot fix." Turned back to his work. "You are dismissed." Left the office. She walked through the corridors toward the lower levels. She had work to do. A filtration system needed repair. A pressure valve was acting strange. Normal problems, comfortable problems. She passed other crew members along the way. Some nodded to her. Some looked away quickly. One, a young who looked like he might be related to, pressed himself against the wall to let her pass. She walked by without a word. In the medical center, heard about everything through visitors and data feeds. He heard about the fear. He heard about the respect. He heard about how the small human had become someone that no one wanted to offend. He heard about the messages coming in from other stations, other places where humans lived and worked, messages asking if the stories were true, messages sharing similar stories from other places. A human miner who had stopped a cave-in with her bare hands. A human soldier who had fought off 5 attackers and walked away without a scratch. A human child who had fallen from a height that would kill most species and gotten up crying but unbroken. Story after story, example after example, a pattern that had never seen before. Humans were not weak. Humans had never been weak. The galaxy had simply not been paying attention. Closed his eyes. The feeding tube pumped liquid into his broken jaw. He had learned something important. He had paid a high price for that education. But at least now he understood. Sometimes the smallest creatures were the most dangerous. Sometimes soft skin hid iron bones. Sometimes a quiet voice warned you of storms to come. He should have listened. He had not. And now he ate through a straw. 6 months passed on orbital station Telos. The station turned slowly in the darkness between stars. Ships came and went. Cargo moved through its bays. Life continued as it always had. But something was different now. Commander returned to duty after 3 months of recovery. He walked the corridors with his head held high, but his eyes were changed. The arrogance was gone. The cruelty was gone. He did not grab collars anymore. He did not corner new arrivals in empty rooms. He did not speak of strength and weakness. His jaw had healed, but not perfectly. It clicked when he ate. He avoided hard foods. Sometimes, when the station was quiet, he could still hear the sound of his own bones breaking. People noticed the change in him. Some thought he had grown wise, others thought he had grown afraid. Perhaps both were true. Continued her work. She fixed pipes and pumps and systems that others had given up on. She was promoted to senior engineer after 4 months, said she had earned it. She accepted the position without celebration. In her small room in Section 7, she kept a photograph of her family back on Earth. Her mother, her father, her younger brother, they smiled at her from across the light years. She called them once a week when the communication windows opened. She told them about her work, about the strange foods she had tried, about the stars she could see from her window. She did not tell them about Commander. Some stories were not for families. Word of what happened spread far beyond Telos. It traveled on ships and through communication networks. It passed from station to station, planet to planet, system to system. The story changed as it traveled, as stories always do. In some versions, the human had fought off 10 attackers. In some versions, she had broken every bone in this body. In some versions, she had done it while smiling. But the core truth remained the same. A human female had been attacked. She had defended herself, and the attacker had been completely, utterly destroyed. Other stories surfaced. Old stories that people had not talked about before. Humans who had survived things that should have killed them. Humans who had shown strength that made no sense for their small bodies. Humans who had been underestimated and then surprised everyone. The galaxy began to pay attention. Research papers appeared in scientific journals. Studies of human biology. Analysis of Earth's gravity and its effects on developing bodies. Measurements of human bone density, muscle efficiency, and cardiovascular endurance. The numbers were surprising. Humans, it turned out, were built like walking siege weapons. Their bones were dense as stone. Their muscles were packed tight with power. Their hearts pumped blood with enough pressure to spray it 3 meters if cut. They could run for hours without stopping. They could survive temperatures that would kill most species. They could eat foods that were poison to others. They could recover from injuries that should be fatal. And they could do all this while looking small and soft and harmless. The universe had made a mistake. It had looked at humans and seen prey. It had not realized it was looking at predators. On Telos, a new saying started to spread among the crew. Be kind to humans. They are polite until they are not. It was good advice. A year after the incident, a young named Tal arrived at the station. He was assigned to engineering, working under and alongside. Tal was nervous on his first day. He had heard the stories. He knew what had happened to Commander. He knew that the small human female with the dark eyes was someone to be careful around. But was kind to him. She showed him how the systems worked. She answered his questions patiently. She shared her lunch with him when he forgot to bring his own. One evening, after their shift, Tal found the courage to ask her something. "Is it true," he said, "what they say about you and Commander?" Looked at him. Her eyes were calm as they always were. "What do they say?" she asked. "That you broke his jaw with 1 hit. That you broke his arm in 3 places. That you did it in less than 5 seconds." Was quiet for a moment. She looked out the window at the stars. "He fell," she said finally. Tal nodded. He did not believe her and she knew it, but that was okay. Some truths did not need to be spoken aloud. "Can I ask you something else?" Tal said. "Yes." "Why did you not kill him? From what I heard, you could have easily." Turned to look at him. Her expression was serious but not angry. "I am an engineer," she said. "I fix things. I do not break them unless I have to, and I never break them more than necessary." She paused. He needed to learn something. He learned it. That was enough. Tal thought about this for a long time after she left. He thought about it when he saw Commander walking through the corridors, his jaw clicking, his eyes empty of the cruelty they once held. He thought about it when he heard other species talking about humans, their voices low and respectful. He thought about it when he watched work, her small hands moving with precision and care, fixing things that others could not fix. She was right, he decided. She did not break things more than necessary. But when necessary, she broke them completely. Years later, when Tal had become an engineer himself, he would tell this story to young crew members who arrived at stations across the galaxy. "Be careful with humans," he would say. "They are the kindest people you will ever meet. They will share their food with you. They will help you when you are lost. They will treat you like family even if they have just met you." He would pause then. Let the young ones think this meant humans were safe. "But never," he would continue, his voice growing serious, "never make them defend themselves, because they come from a world that tried to kill them every day. A world of heavy gravity and harsh weather and dangerous animals. They survived that world. They conquered it. And now they walk among the stars." He would lean and close. "If you are kind to them, they will be kind to you. But if you try to hurt them—" He would tap his jaw, remembering the sound of bones breaking. "Well, let me tell you a story about a commander who thought he was strong." And he would tell the story of the Earthborn girl, the engineer who fixed things, the small human who taught the galaxy a lesson it would never forget. In her room on orbital station Telos, looked at her family's photograph. She smiled. Then she went back to work. There were always more things to fix, and she was very good at fixing things. That was what mattered. That was all that had ever mattered. Outside her window, the stars turned slowly, cold and beautiful, waiting to see what humans would do next.